This is the MIAA Weekly.
Welcome to MIAA Weekly. Don't worry, for all you tuning in, you're wondering where John Dykstra is. He will be here in just a few moments, running a few minutes late. He's covering, I want to say cross country, but he'll have a chance to mention what he's got. But we've got a lot of stuff to unpack in the MIAA, and I'm going to go ahead and start off with what we had happen Thursday evening with CSU Pueblo against Central Missouri. What ended up being a great ball game, and we're going to go ahead and flip on the video here in a moment. But a few things I want to point on out. We saw a little bit of a two-quarterback situation going on with Central Missouri. Donovan Amolo played through almost, I want to say, 3/4 of the game. And then after that, he had a few challenges, as you can see, 3 interceptions there. Jordan Basho came on in the fourth quarter with a bit of a rally and got the offense going a bit. But interesting situation because Amolo has 366 yards of total offense, but did turn over the ball a few times at kind of some inopportune times. So we're going to go ahead and look at some of the highlights here. And we've got, starting off, we're at midfield, and Amolo's going to go ahead and he makes some great plays with his feet here in this offense. And he ends up going for right around 100 yards on the ground. And you see here's Pueblo taking on over, and Roman Fuller finds his man wide open there. And that's Dedrick Taylor Akins, who went for 7 grabs for 170 yards on him, with Reggie Ratzlaff not playing in this contest. Soon thereafter, a few more good quarterback runs, and then they go ahead and find pay dirt, and we're at a 10-10 ball game. Then as we kind of continue on with this one, great throw here by Amolo. He hits his man, Jack Pospisil, who had a monster game, 252 yards receiving on the night. And we've got UCM up at half, 17-10. They're going in right now in the red zone, looking like they're going to go up 2 scores. He misses Tank Young for the interception. Ends up being a kind of a big turnover, turns momentum a little bit. And you see Cook going on the flag route here. Fuller hits him. Nice score by Pueblo. And we got, all of a sudden in the second half, this game started to really pick up. You see Amolo avoiding the rush here. Looks like he's going to throw the ball away, and it's intercepted. And at that point, Coach Lamberson decides to make a change at quarterback, as we mentioned earlier, and things kind of get cooking. Nice little zig route there as we're taking a look there for Popsicle. Has a huge game, and then, boy, Pueblo just keeps on coming, and they end up scoring right after that. And this is where we're near the end of the game, and Jack Pospisil catches this ball, and he is in a foot race to score what looks like it would be the game winner. But unfortunately, UCM gets themselves a grounding penalty, can't run the football in, and puts themselves in this spot and ends up falling just short. What ends up being kind of a heartbreaker there for Central Mo, when they really had a position, I thought, to win that contest there at the end. But noticeable or notable performance on the side for Pueblo. Gary Seidenberger, 12 tackles. He was one on our Elite 100 team, a heck of a defender for them. But it kind of now begs the question a little bit with UCM. Where do they go at the quarterback spot? Do they go with a guy who's a little bit more of the dual threat, or, does Jordan offer them a little bit more of the gunslinger type? And we're going to have to kind of see the way this turns on out. I think that maybe you play a little bit of both, and maybe you go with the hot hand, and we may see this play out kind of ongoing here for weeks to come. But certainly a big outcome for the Mules, because they're 0-2 at this point, but they still have the conference slate in front of them, and as do most of the teams in the MIAA. But there's a minor setback there for them. Let's go ahead and move forward to our next contest. And if you don't know what this is, we're going to find out here shortly. But there's Coach Tom Anthony coming on out with the Gorilla from Pitt State at a packed house for Grand Valley, going ahead and playing Pitt State here. And Pitt State comes out on top 17-14 in this contest. If you take a look at the total yards, 353 to 206, it kind of tells a little bit of a story in this one of a game where Pitt State, I thought there was plenty of times early on where they were playing a lot of the football game in the Grand Valley, half of the field, but weren't ready to really come away with a lot. Had some nice chances. But we're going to go ahead momentarily and look at the highlights. But before we do, I would be remiss if I didn't go ahead and show you a little bit of the gorilla walk. And we're also I'll stop talking for a moment. You can kind of soak in the sights and sounds of the gorilla walk at Pitt State. And maybe you won't be because it's not playing for us. So if it does, we'll go ahead and view it here momentarily. If you haven't had a chance to see that before, I've been there in person last year when Ferris State opened the season at Pitt State. It's such an awesome small college environment. For those who hadn't had a chance to be there or see that, we wanted to go ahead and share that. But we're going to go ahead and move right on into the highlights of the contest. And we're here early in the second half. We're doing a little bit of a Wildcat package. Luke Nigaman, who is a tight end, former high school quarterback, gets a nice chunk yardage play right there. And at this point, Pitt State looked like they should be up a little bit more than they were, but they're lining on up for a 53-yard field goal. Austin Schmidt, he hits that like a 5-iron right down the middle of the fairway, and he all of a sudden it's 3-0 Pitt. And early on, we were noticing that Pitt was getting nice pressure on the quarterback, ends up leading to an interception right here. They ended up having 2 on the day. And as we're moving near half, Curran Parchman ends up catching a tunnel screen here. It's wide open. I love the play. And ends up getting a score just before halftime. 10-0 Gorillas. It feels like they're going in for the kill here. Luke Nigaman going in once again in Wildcat. Ball comes loose right there. And all of a sudden, Grand Valley is running right up the Pitt sideline for a score. I was waiting for Coach Anthony to jump on out there and, go make a tackle like he did in his old days. But all of a sudden, Grand Valley's got a lot of momentum built back up in this one. And, it's one of those things where it's thought, can they really have played and look like the better team for as much of this game as they did, but not put it away? And when they did, and all of a sudden find themselves in a spot where they're down in the fourth quarter. And sure enough, Grand Valley's ahead 14-10, but Pitt comes right on back to their credit here, moves down the field, scores, and that was it. Grand Valley goes down to Pitt State. A heck of a contest right there. And we're going to go ahead, and John, I got a message from him a moment ago. He will literally be coming in any moment. And John's going to help me on out, talk to our special guest, the head coach of the Pittsburgh State Gorillas in his second season, Coach Tom Anthony. Coach, how are you doing?
Doing well. Just getting ready to try and go out and win another football game against a really good Fort Hays State team.
Coach, I'm sorry that I made you watch the highlights and the fumble that went right past your sideline. I thought you might do like a Woody Hayes and jump on out there and decide to take that into your own hands for a second.
Yeah, that might not have gone well for me. I was more of a coverage guy.
Now, Coach, I kind of made reference when we were looking at the highlights to when I'm watching the contest, I felt like you guys were in control of the football game to the point where it shouldn't have gotten to the spot where maybe they had a chance to go ahead when they did. Did you have some of those same feelings when Grand Valley went up and you're thinking, geez, how are we not winning this game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I wish we could have punched that one in there. I think if we go up 17-0 with 5 minutes left in the third, I think it's probably a much different outcome. But credit to Grand Valley for bowing up right there and making a good football play. And I tell you what, they're a good football team, really good on defense, and they stepped up and they made a play. And credit to them, but also credit to our guys. We were up 10-0, we go down 14-10, and then we battle. Our offense was able to answer right back and get us the lead. And then fortunately, we were able to close out the game.
Well, Coach, we also have someone joining, not just yourself, but we have not just another pretty face. John Dykstra, Maryville Forum, joining us. You can breathe now, John. It's going to be okay.
Quite the opposite of just another pretty face, in fact. But
yeah,
I'm glad I skipped that part where it was just Witt and could join in when we got Coach here. So no.
Coach, I think he timed that up on purpose, actually. But
I did.
Hey, that's a veteran move.
I didn't want to show Lambeau any love with the UCM highlights either. Yeah. So
yeah, right. Coach, we're going to talk about your offense here shortly, but you know what? I really felt that your defense was really what won the day for you. And I felt that this was probably the finest moment for this defense in this short season, and maybe a little bit of a sign where the rest of the MIAA is looking at this going, ooh, they're that team, huh? What were your feelings having gotten a chance to watch the film and such about the performance of your defense?
Yeah, I mean, I was very pleased with just number one, just our coaches putting together a good plan, and then the players going out and executing it really well. I knew through the first 3 weeks coming into that third game, that we had a pretty talented defensive football team. And I think we showed a little bit of that at UCO, and kind of a couple crazy things kind of happened in that game with the Jordan Rogers interception, then fumbles it into their offensive lineman's hands and he scores a touchdown. We had another really big interception in the red zone that got negated due to a pass interference or due a roughing the passer call.
Right.
So I knew our defense was talented and was just kind of waiting, for them to really put it together. And, credit to our staff and to our players. They were able to put it together, versus Grand Valley on Saturday. And still so much we still have to improve on, and so much that we still can do better, I think. And our players know that, and our coaches know that, but was really, really proud of that unit and really proud of our football team. I thought for the most part, outside of that fumble, we played a really clean football game against a really good, Grand Valley team. So I was really proud of all three phases, in that game on Saturday.
Yeah, Coach, the secondary in that game, it's really been that way for a couple of years now. It's a lot of the same faces we've been seeing with Jordan and Jalen and Ryan back there. But Reggie King goes out and gets himself MIAA Defensive Player of the Week this week. I mean, it's kind of embarrassment of riches there in the secondary. Just when you're calling the defense, how nice is it when you got those guys on the back end that not only experienced but extremely talented?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was any secret coming into the season that our secondary was going to be the strength of our football team. I mean, we returned 4 all-conference players there with Jalen being a 4-year starter for us, multi-time all-conference. Jordan Rogers, led the league in interceptions in 2023 and then was first-team all-conference last year. Christian Cross was a transfer corner for us last year that also earned all-conference honors. Ryan's been a all-conference guy for us as a safety and a punt returner. And then Reggie King's a kid that we recruited out of high school years back and had some bigger opportunities, went to North Dakota State. And a couple of years ago chose to want to look for another opportunity to get more playing time. And Reggie would have been a huge part of our defense last year had he not, he ended up breaking his hand in week against I think it was the Mo West game, week 5, and ended up missing the rest of the season. So Reggie's a guy that would have had a pretty big year for us last year as well had he not had that broken hand. But I think Reggie King really is kind of a breakout game for him, kind of showing people what he's capable of doing.
Coach, we feel, and we've said it a few times here in the passing weeks, that your quarterback, Jackson Berry, is making some plays and kind of dynamic, offers a little bit more ability for you guys to be explosive, we feel. Tell us a little bit about your quarterback and kind of a little bit about his story getting to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, Jackson's another one of those kids we knew about coming out of high school. He was high school teammates with Ryan Medeiros down there in Prosper, so we knew about Jackson. I had actually watched him a few times in high school when I was down watching Ryan, during spring ball and stuff like that. So knew who Jackson was. Just had some bigger FCS type offers coming out of high school and chose to go that route. And then when Ryan came to me, said, "Hey, coach, I don't know if you remember, JB," and I was like, "Yeah, man, I remember watching him. He could sling it, he's like, "Well, he's looking to just go somewhere else for his senior season." Wasn't he the starter out there? Wasn't he a team captain? And Ryan's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Well, man, we would love to have a kid like that." And JB, I knew right away after my first phone conversation with the kid that he was the type of kid we wanted. Just his energy, his passion, for the game of football, and that's how he plays. I mean, he's a high energy. He plays the quarterback position like an inside linebacker. I mean, he just has kind of that tough mentality about him, kind of a grinder. He's an undersized kid, and man, I mean, he's got incredible arm talent. He's got incredible moxie in the pocket, not afraid to make plays when plays need to be made, and he's really kind of entrenched himself into our program. Even though he's not a team captain for us, he's really become one of our best leaders on our football team, which I think everyone always hopes your quarterback is. And, JB, like I told you before the show started, I mean, tore his meniscus, right before spring ball started and missed all spring ball. So he was really, fall camp was kind of his first taste of really getting entrenched in the offense. And I think still getting comfortable with our offense and how KB calls an offense, and getting comfortable with all of our wide receivers still and how they run routes, how they get open. And I think you're only, going to continue to see Jackson get better and better each week as he gets more comfortable with what we're doing.
Coach, we talk about it every time I see you, probably about every time you get interviewed for anything, but this gauntlet of a schedule, we talked about a lot last year, and you added to it this year with Grand Valley, obviously. Kind of explain to those who haven't heard kind of your take on scheduling, kind of why you signed up for this gauntlet every year.
Yeah, I think last year, was my first year as a head coach, and right when I got the job, we had that week 0 got passed, and we had the opportunity to go out and find a game. And, I didn't even bat an eye. I told our athletic director, Jim Johnson, like, "Man, let's go find a really good opponent and let's open up the season with just an incredible football game." I mean, I think that's what makes college football special, is everybody week 1, no matter what level you're watching, you want to see a big time game, right? And so for us to be able to go out and schedule Ferris State week 1 to be the premier game in Division II football last year, and probably this year as well, was just an opportunity that I wanted to jump on for sure. And then we had, a couple things kind of fell through last year where we couldn't find an 11th game. So we ended up having 2 bye weeks. Didn't want to do that again, but I think, see the value as a first-year head coach of how important that strength of schedule is when it comes to playoff time. Us having scheduled Ferris State and fortunate for us, we got that win, but still finishing the regular season not as conference champs with an 8-2 record, still being able to land the number 3 seed in our region in the playoffs, I think really kind of opened my eyes as to, all right, man, like this strength of schedule thing is pretty important. And so coming now into this season, we already had Ferris locked in on a 2-year deal. And obviously didn't want to play 10 games again, wanted to find an 11th. Well, same thing. We were really struggling to find an opponent. And during that time, UCO had reached out about moving our game with them up to week 2 so they could buy back a non-conference opponent that was open for them during our week. So I was like, yeah, that's great. We can bump them up and go find another game. Well, we had about 6, 7, 8 schools tell us no. And at that point, Jim's like, "Hey, man, Grand Valley's looking for a game." And I was like, "All right, whatever, let's do it." So that's kind of how all that came about. So we ended up having Ferris to UCO to Grand Valley, who were all preseason in the top 5. And then on top of that, I mean, I knew how good Fort Hays was going to be just haven't seen them play last year. And so now you really got your first 4 weeks with 4 top 25 teams. And then, then you go to Emporia, who's then you get to your MIAA schedule, and the MIAA, it's a playoff game every week, so that's kind of how the Grand Valley deal came about. And obviously we were super excited to schedule it. And obviously, we don't shy away from that here, man. Like, I want to go play really good teams, even I don't want those non-conference games. I told our kids that. It's like, man, for me as a coach, it's not fun to go schedule a game where
Right.
you're going to roll out there and win 50 or 60 to nothing. Like, I don't want that as a coach. Our players don't want that as competitors. Like, we want to go play really good football teams. That's how it's like that old iron sharpens iron thing. I mean, that's how you're going to become a better football team. And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of how that came about. And we're really excited. We've extended both of those. We re-upped with Ferris for the next 2 years. So we'll open the season with Ferris 26 and 27. And then we're going to head to Grand Valley in 2028 and give them the home game back to them that they gave us this year. So super excited for the next 3 years. We're going to have another one of those games to open the season, and super excited for our program and for our community to be able to play those games.
Well, Coach, we have a comments section on our show, and I tell you right now, the fans of our show, whether it's MIAA Weekly or some of the other shows, we have been pounding on the table for week 0 for a lot of years. And for everybody to get out of their silos, I'm up in the Northern Sun. I understand how it is. And you guys know about that too in the MIAA. And for that all to now come to fruition, for us, we love these first few weeks. There's new, colorful matchups, great contests, and that's kind of leads me into, Coach, that when we saw those first 3, 4, 5 weeks, we were thinking, oh, geez, careful what you wish for, because how's Ferris going to look after 4 weeks or whatever it is? And Coach, you guys are 1 and 2. I feel like I should not feel as good about your squad as I feel about your squad right now, which is an odd predicament here. You guys have 2 setbacks, but I feel like you guys are stronger for it. And I feel like you guys are getting better as you go. What is your take on how this is all going down and where you're at this point?
Yeah, I mean, obviously after 3 weeks, I'd love to be sitting here on this show being 3-0. That's every coach in the country. But it's the same thing I told our kids, man. Adversity is the way you get better in life and in anything, right? Football, relationships, life, business, whatever you choose to go into when your football career is over. Going the easy route, that's not how you get better. I mean, adversity makes you better, and adversity is going to help you come out better on the back end of it, and I think that adversity we hit that first week and 2 has really kind of made our team stronger, I guess is the best way to put it.
Sure.
Our kids have responded really, really well. Our coaches have responded really well. And like same thing I told our kids Monday, like, guys, it ain't getting any easier, and kudos to Fort Hays. I mean, Brownie did the same thing. Brownie went out and scheduled. I mean, they bring Angelo up to them, and then they go out to Pueblo, week 2. Then they got a 2-0 Carney team. Like, I mean, their schedule's no slouch either. And I think that's what you're seeing. You have a lot of the top teams in the country, I think, right now who have some open scheduling that they can play with. And you have a lot of people that don't want to play a lot of those teams. So those teams are left to then go play each other, which for maybe other conferences is awesome to bolster, because you might not have the loaded schedule that the MIAA does, but for MIAA teams, man, it's not an easy decision to have to make, let's go schedule these other really top tier teams. Northwest open with Mankato, Fort Hays with Angelo. Fort Hays then goes to Pueblo. UCM plays Pueblo. So you're left to then have to go play these top tier teams, which is awesome. Strengthens your schedule. It makes your team better. But then I truly think sometimes people don't understand then just how tough that MIAA schedule is. And I mean, every week is you have phenomenal players, you have phenomenal coaches, you have phenomenal places that have phenomenal support and facilities and infrastructure. I mean, from top to bottom, our league is an absolute buzzsaw. And I think maybe people outside the league don't quite understand that. And it really is every week, man. You don't see a lot of, I tell people this all the time, you don't see a ton of MIAA football games where a team's winning by 40 or 50 points every week. It just doesn't happen very often in our league. I mean, every week you look, I mean, it's if you beat a team by 2 scores, that's a big win, to me in the MIAA. I mean, their wins are hard to come by in this league, and it's a testament to the coaches and the players and all the support systems that everybody has.
Absolutely.
Coach, you had this tough schedule to begin the year last year, and you started it with about as big a bang as you can with beating Ferris last year, and then only one team's happy at the end of the year, obviously, and it didn't work out for you guys in the playoffs. Just what did you – I know you've been through that grind before as an assistant, but going through that first year as the head guy, what do you take away from your first year that you've kind of taken into this year to continue to grow the program there in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I mean, number one, just I think, like I said earlier, just realizing how just important that strength of schedule is to set yourself up for the craziness that, in my opinion, is the Division II playoff structure. I don't know if it's changing anytime soon, but it is what it is, and it's what we have to operate out of. I still think the FCS level has it figured out the best. But I think that the strength of schedule is important, but then really going back and looking at last year and how we ended the last month of the season, probably taking a step back now and year or two and be like, all right, how can I practice and prepare our team better early in the season to give us a better opportunity at the end of the season? When we got there to those last 3-4 games of the season, we were really beat up as a team. We had a lot of those COVID seniors that were in year 6 of football. Bodies really beat up, and I wish, looking back, I wish I would have done some stuff differently, probably on the front end of the season, to help those guys out, to better prepare us then for the back end of the season. So obviously those are things as coaches we have to evaluate ourselves every year as well, just like we do our players, and see what we can do better to prepare our teams better for the opportunities that we want to have.
Well, Coach, we have just one last question for you before we let you go. You kind of referenced it earlier. You guys have Fort Hays coming to town. Now, there's been so much focus on your first 3 contests, but Fort Hays, we certainly know it on this show. You've had a chance to watch the video of them. They are a very good ball club. What when you throw on the film, what do you see with this club?
I mean, Chris, Brownie does a great job. Brownie's a Pitt State legend, man. I mean, he's one of the best to ever play here. He's in our Hall of Fame, was an assistant coach here for a lot of years as well. So gotten to know Chris really well. Great dude, great guy. I think he runs a great program. They are well coached. They play extremely hard. I mean, you watch them, the way they block on offense, the way they run to the football on defense. I mean, they play the game violent. And, so that's probably the biggest challenge, is you got to be able to match that intensity, and then on top of that, I mean, it's a Fort Hays team that really had us beat last year here at home. I mean, they kind of controlled the whole second half of the game. Then we had, defensively, we came up with a huge interception there really late in the fourth quarter down, and our offense was able to drive down and score a touchdown right at the end of the game to beat them. So we know how good of a football team they are. And I know how well coached they are. They have great players. Their quarterback's a special player, the Caleb Heavner kid. Very dynamic. Right. He can make a lot of plays with his legs. He keeps plays alive. He's a coach's kid, makes great decisions with the football. And they're very sound, man. They don't make a lot of mistakes, so you gotta play a clean game against them, and they're gonna be a great team, great opponent. They're very well coached, so it should be another great football game, at the Division II level this Saturday.
Well, Coach, I can't thank you enough for joining us, giving us some insight about your squad, and good luck for you guys the rest of the way.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys having me.
Thank you, Coach.
Well, so let me see if I got this right. You join the show right when it's time to get with Coach on here, and then the next thing we're going to cover is Northwest.
Yeah.
That's tough.
I've written and talked a lot about Northwest over the time. You could have handled that if you needed to, but we can do it again.
They were off my radar this week. I was only focusing on the big games.
Okay, well.
Wow.
There's some people maybe viewing
Northwest people, where are you at in the comments? Come get your pitchforks. Come get me. And by the way, did you hear him talking about Hayes? I'm surprised you're not beaming right now with this whole Hayes thing. I mean, as much as you carry water for them, are you kidding me?
We'll get to that later, but yeah, he's not wrong. Their first 4 weeks of this, he mentioned at one point that the Ferris game was probably the D2 game of the week everybody was watching. You could make an argument that the first 4 weeks have all been the highlight D2 game of the week for Pitt, which is just insanity. But it'll make them better as they go on. So
every time I go to make a graphic for our shows on Inside D2 Football, they're in the main graphic, so it's totally right. But
speaking of graphics, boy, Dan or whoever in the office did that one. That's a graphic and a half over there with the Hayes graphic.
I agree. By the way, in our comments, Jerry mentioned, and I totally agree with Jerry here. Amen. About the MIAA schools have done a fantastic job in regards to scheduling that non-con. We'll even take a look at the slate as to where the MIAA sits. Are they above 500, below 500 in that? So stay tuned. We'll talk about that near the end of the show. I do have to mention this.
Yeah, it's been a rough.
You were beaming last week, and by the way, as a Bears fan, I don't have anything to say. Don't have a thing to say. But your Vikings.
Yeah, we've got about half an offense left at this point, so everybody's on the IR. So
you guys have played one good quarter of football so far this year.
Yeah, it was a heck of a quarter, though.
Yeah, that's I remember. I know. I'm going to pull that down.
I had to go no hat for your buddy Laker. Laker was talking about my hat choices the other day, so I had to go no hat today for him.
We both did well. I mean, after on Twitter, I kind of made reference to us being on, and I didn't realize how bad a photo I had of us on there, but we'll get rid of that. So
I mean, no photo of us is great, but that one was a little grainy. But
yes, people are giving you a hard time in the chat, and I'm here for it.
Good.
Let me. And by the way, here we go with some Northwest stuff. They had a chance to play Kingsville, the Javelinas.
Yeah.
Let me, and I love that picture, by the way, of Coach Mack being flipped upside down in their locker room. Not a bad looking locker room, by the way.
Crowd surfing. They were asking him about it today at the presser, and he said that's the first time that's ever happened. But
he hasn't had that since the last time he was at a Pearl Jam concert, I bet. But, well, I'll let you unpack.
They're not getting you or me up there, and let's Joe Quinlan's got a better.
They would need the linemen to get us up there. That would be like a workout. But and you know what? Maybe that's another picture. Maybe since you cover the Bearcats, if they can get a picture of you with that for the show, I am in. Bearcats.
Don't give Colin McDonough ideas.
Make it happen. Mac, I might have to text Mac after this, but tell us a little bit about your contest. Looked like plenty of offense for the Bearcats.
A whole lot of offense, almost 650 yards of offense, which is something new. That's exciting to see. We talk all preseason, every time anybody talks to anybody around Northwest, player wise at least. They talk about, Coach Max had great offenses everywhere he goes, and we're going to be a great offense this year. What time's going to tell about the level of offense, but boy, they're off to a good start after that Mankato game because Kingsville's picked fourth in the Lone Star, so they're a solid team down there. They've clearly got talent, but Northwest just had their way in this one, running and passing. They were out. Northwest top 2 running backs on the depth chart were out for this game. They had 2 other guys run for 100 yards, one around 150 and one 117, I believe, for the redshirt freshman who had hardly played before this one. So they were getting contributions all over the place, and 2 quarterback system still didn't really matter who was in. Coach Mack kind of had the right timing on when to pull out each one, and the other one would come in hot and ready to go. So Yeah, it was a very, very promising game for the Bearcats on Saturday.
What are the feelings in Bearcat Nation right now? I don't mean internally with the football team.
Yeah.
I mean more of what is the feeling in the community? Is there a little bit of a hope that this is something that we're going to see more of, and that the defense is showing signs of being pretty strong? I mean, what are some of the thoughts?
I mean, you could tell it by looking at the grandstand on Saturday that there was quite a bit of excitement. It was a full home side of the stand for the first half and most of the third quarter there. It was a hot day, and I know several people that told me, "Oh, they wanted to go, but it was just too hot. We couldn't do it." Well, there's a lot of people that did show up though, and I think there's a lot of excitement around the team, as there's going to be when there's a coaching change, especially bringing back one of your own,
Right.
former player, everything like that. But I think people are really buying in. I think they're realistic. They know that, hey, this team's not ranked yet, and they probably shouldn't be, or they shouldn't be ranked yet because they've
Right.
got stuff to prove still. Like, I'm just saying, there's not wild
Gotcha.
expectations yet.
I was going to say that reminded me of like Jim Mora playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they are off to a very good start and showing the signs that I think people wanted to see especially offensively. I think people were confident in the defense, but offensively, those signs of growth are real and they're there. So we'll see as the schedule continues to get tough again. And we kind of see as the season goes on how good Washburn and Kingsville are in terms of wins.
Well, if the Bearcats get some big wins here in the MIAA, we'll find a week to have Coach Mack come on with us. Moving on through some of the other contests we have, Washburn and School of Mines. This game, I think, elapsed time was over 7 hours. One of those where I kept seeing updates on Twitter, and I was thinking, this game is still not over with yet.
Well,
but
and
we're
then
kind of at that time of year where this stuff happens.
I had the live stats pulled up to be ready to just keep track of it as I was following the other games, and it still never moved. And then finally, I was listening to the pit game, and they said, "Oh, well, that game is actually continued." The live stats just. I guess they gave up on the live stats after 6 hours of waiting there, and they just weren't going to update. But that's a long trip out there to Golden, and a longer trip when you have to sit through that.
Well, and this got to the point where, I mean, this was a 20-point game, and what are some of the challenges with the Ichabods right now? They're not protecting the quarterback especially well. What are some of the other challenges that you're seeing?
I think that's the biggest one I see is both sides in the trenches. I watched Northwest play them last week, so I saw them live,
Right.
and I've obviously kept up with them. And that quarterback is a talented dude. He can throw it, and they've got some weapons on the outside. It's just, in order to do that, you have to give them time to operate back there. And right now, they haven't been able to do that really in any games. I mean, they put up 3 touchdowns against Truman State, but even that, it took a while to get going and figured out. I mean, 27 points against Mines, that's nothing to sneeze at. Mines had control of that game throughout, but they put up a good fight against Mines and showed maybe some growth that I'll be curious to see if we can continue to see that as the year goes on. I know they've been devastated with injuries on that offensive line as well. So that's
on
that's
the other
something
side
to
of the
point
ball,
out.
on the other side of the ball, they gave up 365 yards rushing.
Which
They weren't playing Harding; they were playing Colorado Mines. And only amassed 42 of their own. So certainly,
run the ball.
almost 600 yards of offense for Mines, and while we think Mines is on their way back up,
Yeah.
Washburn's they're clearly more competitive game a year ago. So we'll have to kind of see if they can get some of that D and point of attack kind of taken care of going forward.
To put it into perspective, I mean, MIAA fans have seen Pueblo and the games they put against. I think we both still, maybe AC would argue with us in the comments, but I think we both still have Pueblo above Mines in that hierarchy. So that kind of puts into perspective with what we're talking about in the RMAC out there. And it's a very good team, but I don't think it's the top echelon of the RMAC right now.
That's a fair question.
I was going to say, you maybe don't agree with my Mines Pueblo take. That's interesting. Well, I'll have to listen to AC hash that out with Draper.
Pueblo's not getting me real excited right now with the Reggie Ratzlaff injury. They got another injury at wide out. They were outgained by 150 yards at UCM. I think Mines is trending better right now, but I think Pueblo started well ahead. I'll leave it at that.
The RMAC expert agrees with me, so we'll take
Fair
that.
Enough. Well, he can adjudicate that on his show tomorrow.
I was going to say, we got a whole show to talk about RMAC.
I was going to say, you're the one who took us down that road with that reference. But moving on, we've got the Griffins of Mo West 27-10 over Missouri S&T. I think we kind of all had it about this. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, I kind of thought it might be a little bit more lopsided even, but honestly it was. I mean, it was 24-0 pretty early, I believe. I was following along with that one, and it got to the point where it wasn't too interesting to follow along with. Pretty quickly, the second half was a slog for Western. Their first half, I know, just listening to Coach talk about it, Coach Fenwick, that they were pretty happy with the first half, and they weren't real happy with the second half. So some things to clean up there, but this game was what this game was. You expected it to be at least 3 scores, and it was 3 scores. So Western took care of business as they get ready for MIAA play.
Moving right along, we've got Fort Hays and Carney, and this game statistically looked very even at half, despite the fact it was 17-0, I think, Hays at that point in time. I think Hays just has a little bit more firepower offensively. What was your take on it?
Yeah, they're similar to the Western game. This one fell over pretty quick just because of the lead that Hays was able to build up. I think something I'll be curious to see against Pitt this week as they kind of ramp up to that big game is Travis Dixon at running back. We had a commenter mention something about him earlier, and he started a few games a couple years ago and then had, I believe it was Achilles. I could be wrong on that. I'm pretty sure it was Achilles, though, that he's coming back from, and he didn't play in the Angelo game that they lost, but he's been back the last couple weeks, and they were pretty reliant on Caleb Hebner running the ball. So if Travis Dixon continues to get healthier and more integrated into this offense, or reintegrated, I should say, I think that could spell really good things for Hays in the future. But I'm also who I am in a Hays homer over here, so maybe others would disagree.
And we do have some thoughts here in the comments. Jackson, to be very truthful, we've actually tried.
Yeah, I don't think it's Coach Held not wanting to come on. We just haven't gotten to get lined up. But Jackson, if you keep tuning in all season, I have a feeling that might pay off at some point. I can't
we reached out on 2 occasions, so yeah, it's not that we're for lack of trying, guys.
Can't guarantee it with just lining up schedules, as has been shown with me being late for 2 straight shows now. But but we have tried, and I think they have tried on their end to make it work too. But yeah, hopefully.
Welcome to the new starting time of MIAA Weekly of 8 p.m. But No,
Uh,
I was getting ready to bring somebody in from the comments to co-host for a moment, but
I mean, I saw Greg Hassler. I don't know if he's still here, but he would be an upgrade over me as MIAA expert. So if you could talk Greg into
or if
just
we're going to narrow it down, who would be the upgrades?
I mean, there's a bunch in there.
Well, let's go ahead, guys, and we're gonna move along to the out of conference tracker. So we kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, because we didn't have that many games on the slate, and John 4-2 this last week for out of conference competition brings it to 11-9. You being a little bit more of a math dork than I am, I think you will probably have a better idea of how many remaining out of conference games we have, but I don't think there's a lot.
I think there's 0.
Okay, then.
Yeah, it should be 0.
Because each team gets 2, right?
Every team had 2 games, or 10 teams should be 20 total. So, yep,
See?
I think we're done. Winning record.
This is what Dykstra. This is what Dykstra adds to the show. A little bit of a math element there.
Man, that has never been the rumor on the street. But my math skills, I guess.
Now, before we go ahead and kind of review where the standings are in the conference and so forth, John, we didn't get a chance earlier in the show because I kind of just dove right on into the athletes of the week. I'm going to let you unpack a little bit of this because I'm just learning how to say Jack
Pospisil.
Yes, his name. I was saying it perfect earlier. All of a sudden, you get on the show, I can't say it right.
Man, but, I noticed a little hitch in it when you said it the first time.
I know. I want to say popsicle, and that ain't it.
I was listening from the car, but man, talk about some obvious choices in this one, I think.
No doubt.
Jack had a huge game. I don't have his stats in front of me, but they were massive, as you covered earlier. About 3 yards away from being even more massive. But regardless, great game. They had a lot. They lost a lot on offense, and he was kind of that veteran guy they had back. And, man, he's shown it. He has stepped up to begin this year, making me look smart. I did my column about all MIAA first team predictions and kind of put him in there despite him not having been that number 1 receiver yet. I just thought he'd have a good year and pat myself on the back. I was right about that one. And we talked to Coach about Reggie King and what he did. That was a huge pick in that game when all the momentum was on Grand Valley's side, and to help them seal that, just absolutely great there. And then Fort Hays is making a run of having these specialists of the week. That special teams coach needs a raise over there because they had the field goal block last week that earned them a special team of the week, and now we get the kicker this week. So good work by that special teams unit over there.
By the way, quick note here.
Man, we got the Hammer joining.
Well, the Hammer is coming to you with information here.
I didn't. That doesn't even make sense that they have that extra. Okay. Yeah, I mean, so it's definitely non-con because Northeastern's not in it. I don't know how we ended up with one team.
Yeah, and
I don't know if our slide was right.
Unless we have a math issue, which could certainly be it. I'm leaving that open as a real possibility. But it's good to know that there is one more left.
Yeah, so and that one was a surprisingly good game last year, or I don't know, good, entertaining game last year. So
right.
We'll see that when that happens. The President's Cup, I believe, is the title of that rivalry.
And Wesley's got a comment in here. Wesley, I love you, but this is an RMAC question, so I will let you pose that on the show for tomorrow night. We're going to kind of stay as much in the MIAA lane as we can.
I know AC's watching.
Even though Dykstra's trying to swerve us out of it. And, John, we're going to go ahead and pull up the standings for the league. And here we have it. Oh, Fort Hays is up at the top. John is, So this is right from the MIAA Home Office League website. and you can go ahead and see some of the numbers that we have here early. Geez, it gives you an indication of just how early on we are here, where we've got Pitt State at the bottom and Northwest at the top. No, I didn't just say that.
Pitt State was at the very bottom last week before we played a couple more MIAA games, and it was awkward to see because I typed these up myself
right
for the paper every week because I would have fixed Carney being higher for some reason than they should be in this one. But yeah, I typed it up and it's like, oh wow, Pitt's at the bottom of the league. That's surprising. And then if you just go by overall record there, who preseason would have had Missouri Southern as the last undefeated team in the MIAA? I don't think there's too many bingo cards that had that one, as you like to say. So
yes.
This is a fun league, to say the least.
Well, we got a lot of fun ahead, certainly in the coming weeks from a scheduling standpoint. But let's take a look for a moment, if we could, at our new top 25. And for what it's worth, John, this isn't the first time I'm going to say this, but I will take our top 25 over any other top 25 out there, whether it's the coaches poll, whether it's the Flow top 25. Oh my.
No friends at Flow.
No. We like and appreciate what they offer, D2, but their top 25 is a little bit sketchy. And so when we look here, some of the newer developments, we had 2 teams drop on out of the poll. Delta State dropped on out, and who was the other one? Ashland?
Yes, because they lost to UIndy.
Yep. And then we had Duluth parachute into the poll at 11, which
Tom was not happy yesterday about how high they parachuted. That's what happens when you beat a top 3 team.
And at the same time, they were right on the cusp of making our top 25 the week before. Frankly, no different than Sioux Falls is right now, and like Wingett's, I think, right there as well. So there's not a whole lot of difference if you're 21, 23, or 26, in terms of our poll. Only the top 25 make it.
Both those teams you mentioned were on my ballot. So this doesn't, it doesn't. It can change especially those last 5 spots very easily.
And then Michigan Tech came on in at 24. We weren't real fast on putting Michigan Tech in just because if you now take a look at their resume, they have beaten.
Bemidji looks less exciting.
Yeah, a winless Bemidji team. The South Dakota Mines, who is looking pretty much as a rebuild right now.
Yeah.
And then this last week, they beat Hillsdale, who's got 1 win. So, there's not a whole lot to hang our hat on in that, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that they have done it in resounding fashion, I think we give them more credit for in that moment. But the reason I mentioned the polls thing is, how do the coaches have Duluth 2 spots behind Mankato right now? It's not like Mankato is new to success. They have proven over the years that they are a very good football team and program, and they have won 3 straight against Mankato. So this is not a fluke or anything. So I found that hard to grasp when I was really looking at it. Couldn't make sense of that personally. But I just have more confidence, John, in our poll. Not just because it's our poll, but I think it is our voters do a really nice job with kind of thinking things out.
I like to think of it in a little bit of tiers here, and if you just look across each row, maybe you can argue with the order, but those teams feel right to me. Couple exceptions maybe in each row. Like I feel like they're in the neighborhood they should be. So I like where the poll was at this week. I think it's from an MIAA perspective. Last week you had no teams in the top 10. Now you got 2 teams in the top 10 with UCO. I'm pretty sure on that. I don't think UCO or Pitt were in the top 10 last week. I know Pitt wasn't. So both those teams jumping in there. I think that's you're an MIAA
UCO
fan,
was
obviously
12 last week, and Pitt was 16.
Yeah. So obviously them jumping in the top 10, moving back up, that's good if you're a MIAA fan to have that strength of schedule and those perceived when you face those teams big wins. And that obviously happened because Mankato and Grand Valley dropped. So that's what helped elevate those teams.
Now, one of our folks has asked, what is the Massey top 25?
Well,
this is when you go on to Google and type in we don't display it, obviously, because it's not something that we get behind too much. We use it honestly for entertainment purposes, if I'm going to be really honest, because it uses a combination of the last 3 seasons roughly, and there's a lot of schools where that really skews things. Like you would not have given Central Oklahoma any credit last year until it was too late, that kind of thing. But we'll make reference to Massey every once in a while, but it, I think, is a bit of a dated tool, if I'm going to be really honest.
Yeah, there's a lot of mathematical tools that the NCAA uses, and Massey, to my knowledge, isn't one of them. So I don't know why we would.
Reed makes mention to, the coaches might be done by their SIDs. We've kind of heard that on and off. I've talked to plenty of coaches, though, that are on the AFCA. And sometimes I give them a hard time about, how'd you come up with this? But, we kind of have fun with it. It's all tongue in cheek because none of this really matters, if we're going to be honest. This isn't about playoff selection. It's for entertainment purposes, and hopefully you guys enjoy that aspect of it as well. Well, John, are you ready to go ahead and do some picks for the week?
Look at my record. Of course I'm ready.
Well, we'll get to that in a moment. I saw that you still haven't given me credit for
that's not going to happen.
That can be an ongoing gripe because you and I are actually tied for tops in the league when we take that into proper consideration.
In the MIAA weekly picks, yes, but you have your multiple brackets picking all the sides scenario, but yes, we'll touch on that later.
6 days in advance, but we'll carry on. Our first game, Emporia State at Nebraska Carney. This is a tough one right out of the gate.
As you will see by the form picks later, there's a lot of ways you can go on this one.
Well, there's only 2 ways that I'm aware of, unless you're going to pick a tie. But
I might.
Which do you think that Carney rebounds after a setback? And Emporia has had a week off, so they've had a chance to prepare for this. What are your thoughts?
This game is, it's a fascinating matchup. We had the commenter asking about Ryan Held earlier. I'm going to go with Ryan Held's guys. I've got Carney in this one. I've just been more impressed with them so far. I think early in the year we were a little impressed with the way that Emporia handled Minot State, and since then Minot State has gone in a bad way. So I've been impressed with Carney's schedule. Even last week, that game wasn't that close, but statistically they hung Fort Hays State, and we both, I'm higher on them than you, but we both believe they're among the better teams in the league. So, I got to go with Carney in this one, but I would not be surprised either way this goes. I think this week we have 5 games, and I think 3 of them are toss-ups, and I think this is absolutely one of them.
Well, we've got a fair amount of folks here in the comments who are backing you up with that claim. AC, Chris Botsford.
To be fair,
we've got a bunch of folks there who have this game wrong, just like you do.
We used to joke about Massey. If you played the MIAA, that team gets higher in your rankings. With AC, I mean, Carney played Shadron, and so they're going to be higher in the AC rankings than some of these other teams.
Well, I have got Emporia with a week off and everything else.
Yeah.
I think they're going to need to use that quick passing game because I don't think they're going to get the better of the Lopers up front. And I think they need to make it a bit of a 7-on-7 contest. And they've got nice speed. I will take Emporia on the road in this one. I don't feel real strong about it, but I am going to take Emporia here. Moving on to game 2. Boy, I wonder who he'll take. We've got the Bearcats.
You know my love for Atiba.
Of Northwest.
Coach Bradley's my guy.
Guy loves him so much he shows the interview. And we've got Missouri Southern on the other side. Missouri Southern, I like what they have going here. I'm not comfortable enough that I can take them because I think that if Northwest was sputtering a bit along the way here, I think I could get on board with that. Since the Bearcats look like they're doing much better than when I saw them, I'm taking Northwest. How do you see this game?
I'm the same way. I think they figured out some stuff in the run game. I think that's the biggest development. We always talk about, or people that are really talking about Northwest quite a lot, the fan base talks about the passing game with Coach McMiniman coming in. But I think that run game has been impressive with these last couple of weeks with what Coach Prosser is doing. And I think if they can be balanced like they were last week, I think they could have a good week here and make it no undefeated teams left in the MIAA. So I'm picking them. Going to Joplin is always a tough task. It will be warm, and unfortunately there won't be too many people in the seats. But I think Northwest has enough to get this done, but they've had some scares in Joplin in the past.
Moving on to our next game. Ooh, this is a big one.
I figured you were saving this one for last.
Well, I was trying to put them in order in which they'll be played, but sometimes I do kind of hold out that for the end just for a little suspense. But we've got Fort Hays going to Pitt. Is there a chance? Now, this is going to sound crazy. Considering the opponents that Pitt has played the first 3 weeks and the names that they have played these first 3 weeks, and some of the preseason rankings and everything else, is there a chance that Pitt has a bit of a letdown here?
That's what I was wondering. And talking to Coach Anthony almost made me feel like, okay, he understands that. But I'm almost wondering if that's been his message, the way he talked to us about Hayes, if that's been his message in the locker room to be like, I know we played all these top 10 teams, but this is still a top 20 team, and this one matters a lot because they can't go 0-2 in the conference. It's a must-win for Pitt. I don't know if they have any non-must wins the rest of the way with 2 losses already, but they need this game. But I do have a brand to protect, and my brand is Hayes. So I'm picking the Tigers in this one, but this is a pure toss-up, and I think the betting favorite would probably be the Gorillas, but I'm going with the upset here in the Jungle.
Well, we've got a fair amount of people who like Hayes in the comments. It's a little bit split. Our guy AC says Hayes because he's carrying the water with you, apparently. I think that we saw, man, I could be way off, and maybe they proved me to be a fool here. Hard to believe, but I watched them Pitt against Grand Valley. That's a game that they could have ran away with.
Yeah.
And that's not a lot of people can do that to Grand Valley. I think that this is kind of the start of Pitt really asserting themselves and maybe being the best team in the MIAA again. And I just have a feeling I'm going to take them here. But, man, this is going to be a slobber knocker of a matchup. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, they played in Pitt last year, as Coach said, and it's a 1-point game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something similar this year.
I think Pitt is clearly better than they were a year ago because of I think they're just more explosive offensively. Their offense last year didn't blow any wind in my skirt. We'll put it that way.
No.
We got UCM playing at Western here. Okay. Western grad. I know you don't put it out there a lot, but what
I'm fine with putting it out there.
how do you see this one?
This one, if you had asked me a week ago, I would have went the other way on it. We went over my power rankings the week prior, and I had Western higher. Western's at home, so I should be picking Western in this one, right? Well, in the last week, Central, I think, should have beaten Pueblo in that game, and Western had the bye week, but we didn't really talk about Augustana in that top 25 ranking we went through. Augustana had a less than exciting performance this past week. So as impressed as I was with Western, now I kind of want to see it again because I'm not as sold on Augie as I was. So I am picking the Mules in this one to find a way to win, but honestly, I'm about 50-50 on this game. I could see it going either way, but I think the Mules might have figured something out last week, so I'm going with the Mules.
There was a question before we started the show today. Yeah. This came in pretty early, about 3 p.m, actually, and was asking, this is Latravius Boyd, the running back who came over from Wayne State, Nebraska, who had been a dynamic player there, a really fast player, kind of a space player. And I saw him on the sideline with a jersey on, no equipment, last Thursday evening. So obviously he is dinged up. We'll find out soon enough how much and how much time he's going to miss there. But he's he can be a game breaker for a squad. I'll tell you that. I've seen him have 95-yard touchdown runs where the last 80 yards is everybody chasing him. I mean, he's really explosive. So
I'm not connected enough to UCM to know the injury details, but luckily we had a guy in the comments who is. Greg Hassler, if you go down 2 comments there, provided an answer for Mr. Benson on that.
There we
Sounds
go.
like Mr. Boyd is back. For those who don't know, Greg is the radio voice of UCM. So that's a pretty good authority there. And I think we might be seeing some more Boyd, which will, like you said, be a big deal for their offense, give them a little juice out there that maybe they've been looking for.
Yeah. I think the thing that we're all kind of curious about is the quarterback situation, because they're kind of 2 different flavors in terms of what they offer you. And Peugeot and Donovan Amolo, I would really go ahead and just kind of play one guy the first quarter, play another guy the second quarter, see what you're at halftime, assess things then. I mean, Lambeau and company have a much better idea of what they have with their football players than we do. Let's be real honest. Mm-hmm. I do personally like better, and this is just me talking, when I saw Jordan Peugeot in there in that fourth quarter, I felt that they played with a different level of urgency and almost looked like they were running a 2-minute offense. And when I see UCM operating that way, that to me feels like they're cooking. And it just felt to me like he's a little bit more that guy.
I think the 2 quarterbacks can work, though. We've seen it a little bit with Northwest. I was skeptical.
They're used to doing it. Yeah.
I was, exactly. Ferris has had multiple quarterbacks multiple times. Some of the best teams in the country do it. That's one of the most annoying phrases for me out there is if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. Modern college football, you need multiple guys because you're going to need to rely on them at least for a series or 2 during the season, unless you're the luckiest team in the world and you never have anybody get nicked up. So I've seen it work these last couple of weeks with Northwest, especially in this where they're not carbon copies of each other. They each bring something different to the table. So I think if I was UCM, I would lean into it. But Coach Lambeau knows a lot more about offensive football than I do.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. And by the way, Greg, thanks for tuning on. Greg is on the Vox for UCM, correct?
Yeah, he's the radio voice for UCM. I mentioned Yeah, he was the one I was referencing earlier that had commented a couple times that
Yep.
he said Boyd would be
Fantastic.
back.
Well, good to
So-
have you on, Greg. And
One of the best radio voices in the conference. Love
I
love
just
having him.
realized I hadn't even made a pick on this just yet.
we talked a lot about it. Hopefully you
Um,
filibustered enough to
And you
pick
know
it.
what? Speaking of radio voices, we've got Todd in here
Man,
from
getting popular.
UCO. This is like a big radio show today, and Todd caught my eyes when he mentioned Chick-fil-A in the press box. I could be a fool for that anytime. Normally, I'm wings or pizza, depending on where the venue is. Bosses,
Northwest
I
does
point that out, a little
Chick-fil-A
bit
as
of a
well.
sponsor of the show, but uh, yeah, so let me go ahead with my pick because everybody's just sitting here waiting, saying, when's he going to make a pick? I got UCM in this. I just feel, I saw Missouri Western up close. I think they're a dangerous team in two different ways. Like dangerous to themselves, where they might not be able to finish a game, but they can also play, I think, with just about anybody.
Yeah.
So I feel a little bit more faith that Lambeau and company, with a little bit extra rest, haven't played Thursday. I have a feeling that they're going to know a little bit. They're going to know a little bit more of who they are this week than they did in the past few. And I've got UCM winning that one.
Penalties have been an issue for Mo West too. If they don't clean that up, that's going to lose them a couple of these toss-up games if they don't do better at that as we move forward. That was even a problem against S&T.
Agreed. So we move to our final game. Ooh, Washburn, that's a tough one to have next.
We didn't save the most intriguing for last.
Now, interestingly enough, Doug mentions here in the comments that Jed Huff will be back next week. I'll say it this way: watching him take the two hits he did in his last possession of football in this season that I saw, he took two big shots within a matter of about 5 plays. And I was thinking that's an upper body injury where he may be gone for a little bit. So it'll be awesome if he comes back that soon. My expectations were maybe not, but we'll kind of play that by ear. We're not going to know, and I'm certainly not counting on the Two Deep to provide us that answer either. That said, Washburn at UCO, how do you see this one, John?
I see UCO getting pretty comfortable in this one. They want to run the ball and pound the ball at you, and that is what Washburn has struggled with, is that physicality. Coach was talking earlier about you never see lopsided games in the MIAA, and that's true, but this is just the worst matchup imaginable for Washburn, I think, with the way UCO plays football. And maybe it'll be one of those. UCO had a couple last year where they just simply didn't show up for the game until about halftime. Maybe this is one of them, and I'm looking like a fool when this one goes to halftime and it's a ball game. But I'm not going to bet on it. Give me the Broncos. Give me them pretty comfortably by 3 or 4 scores in this one.
Now with Huff, yeah, I love it. Doug then says, not sure on Huff.
Somebody might have. Doug's got a few sources I know, and somebody might have texted him and said,
I was going to say, Doug, why did you say it if you were that unsure? Well, anyway, maybe it was meant to have something that just stayed in the comments and we didn't bring up. Keep in mind, guys, you put something in the comments, we might pull it up on the show. But the backup quarterback Clayton Creasy, I believe is his name.
Yeah.
He's got the glasses, kind of Clark Kent look, and I'm dating myself with that reference, but it is what it is. He made some plays for him. He scored in the run game. I fully agree that I think that they're going to be very run heavy, or maybe some bubbles, those type of things, and try and keep it in that way, because I think that they feel strongly about what they have in the run game with both running backs and that offensive line. And Washburn is really going to have to show that they can stop it at that point. I think if you're UCO, considering the quarterback situation, there's a little bit of a survive and advance right here. It doesn't need to be the prettiest thing in the world. So
no, but when you got a couple backs like they do and an offensive line like they do, this might be a short game, just in and out, and no need to maybe ever throw it. Just pull a Harding and just run the ball the whole game.
Fair enough. Well, those are our games that we have for the week. Let's move on over, if we can, to the Maryville Forum
Look at
expert picks. Now, once again, everyone take notice of the fact that Witt has still gotten pinged for a loss in his Permian win that he had to open the year. I should be 17-5, but don't worry, I won't bring this up every week. Maybe I will, but I was 6-0 this last week. I felt really good about that until I saw Matt Daniel also was 6-0, and immediately took some of that luster away.
I mean, if you're just going to copy Matt's picks.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Right. I'm going to Daniel for picks, but I'll be, and John, you already know with all the other shows I'm messing around with, by the time I get to this, everyone's already sent you your picks, I'm pretty sure. But
you and old BK down there, old Brett Kennedy, are usually among the last ones.
Well, so you're at 17-5. We're tied by my math.
Yeah, I'm fine with saying that for the show. For the paper, you're one back. But we got a couple differences this week, as we just covered.
We do. So as we take a look here, I've got Emporia. I feel pretty good about that one there. And then as we kind of continue left to right, I got Pitt State. You, of course, have Hayes. You wouldn't have it any other way. But, as we take a look at the rest of the list here, I like the fact that there's plenty of flavor in the Emporia State, Carney game as we look at it there.
I think a 4-4 split is the way that should be.
Yeah. And there was a little bit of a chat that you and I were in about UCM and Missouri Western. I don't think it's a matter of everyone sees it as a close game, but they just lean towards the Mules in that game is really, I think, what it comes down to.
I agree.
And I think it's probably easy to, based on recent success of the two programs in the last handful of years.
I think you could say the same thing almost about Northwest and Southern. I think most people were going to pick Northwest in that one. Most people, I mean, beyond even this thing. And it's a clean sweep. And I feel like that's almost like I'm surprised nobody went with the undefeated team, but I don't think anybody thinks that's going to be a complete blowout either.
Agreed. Well, as we kind of wrap up the show, John's just getting comfortable. He's been here like 10 minutes, but we always want to give out special thanks to the MIAA network. They help us make sure that we're going to be able to go ahead and use the content from the MIAA network on this show. We also want to thank Pitt State Athletics for lining up Coach Anthony and for us being able to use those photos that we had when we talked with Coach. So, John, I don't have much more. Do you have anything else that you need to unpack for the show tonight?
Nope. I'll just agree with you. Dan Wilkes does a great job there at Pitt. He's the one who helped set that up. So
absolutely,
the SIDs across the league have been incredibly helpful to us as a show, and just all those SIDs. The media can't do much without those guys, so we appreciate y'all.
Well, guys, thank you very much for tuning on in. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and thank you very much for Coach Anthony for coming on. And have yourself a great rest of the week. Make sure you get on out to a football game. Thank you.